Welcome back, everyone. Well, as you know, as part of our ongoing coverage of the crisis in our community, I have a couple of go-to people, and one of my favorites is Mike Bittel. Mike is the president and CEO of the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce, and he's joining me today to give us some updates on what's going on with in our region and members of the chamber. So welcome, Michael. Great to have you. It's really good to see you.
Jesse, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us. We're what a new world we live in. This teleconferencing and Zoom. Where you're over there in Saratoga or in Warren County, probably.
Yes, I'm in Glens Falls.
You're in Glens Falls, and I'm in Greenwich, the big city of Greenwich. And brother, I miss you. I miss everybody out there. I know we're all anxious to get going and get back to doing what we do best, and that's seeing people. But we're not quite there yet, but I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today.
Well, great, Michael. We got a bunch of stuff to go over. Governor Cuomo recently has announced his 12-step program for reopening the state. Every day I'm getting emails from you. Let's let our viewers know what your feelings are about this and what steps are being taken in our region.
Yeah, Jesse, thank you. First and foremost, I really want to send out to everybody in the region our prayers and our thoughts for everyone affected by COVID. And really throughout this, Jesse, we've all been affected. Unfortunately, some of us have been affected more through family members and friends that have been sick. And unfortunately, we've lost some of our neighbors here in the past couple months. I just want to let everybody know at the chamber, our whole team is so just so much thinking about everybody and what's going on first and foremost, because Jesse, we're people first. And this community is, as we've talked about in every interview, is the best community, the best area anywhere. So I just wanted to put that out there, Jesse, and thank you for the opportunity to put those out there.
You're welcome, Mike.
The 12-step plan from the governor. About 2 weeks ago, the governor was looking at a broad swath across New York that we were going to have one plan.
Right.
One plan to open up New York. So us, along with Todd Shimkus, who is also a friend of the show at the Saratoga County Chamber, and Assemblyman Dan Steck, the three of us got together, put forth a plan, and we solicited the governor, along with other state elected officials, to not look at us in one bucket. And the reason for that is, Jesse, is that New York City, unfortunately, is a real hot spot. And as the governor showed last week, the numbers there are much different than they are upstate. So we needed to go with a regional approach, and then also we pushed a business by business approach. Jesse, this isn't going to be we're all inside one day, May 15, and then May 16, we're all outside. It's not going to happen that way, unfortunately. I wish it could. But realistically, it won't. Again, we have to go back to what we just started the interview with, and that's the health, well-being, and safety of all of us. So we're coming up, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but well-thought-out plans for every single business to make sure that we're all going to continue to be safe. The 12-step plan, Jesse, really starts off with CDC guidelines in the state working with the federal government, because this isn't just a state issue. Any way you look at it, people are going to come and go, right? We need consistency in the region. We need consistency across state lines. And then secondly, as far as businesses go, the second part of the 12-part plan is about industries and construction and manufacturing opening up next. So what we're really pushing for, Jesse, is that low risk businesses are able to open up first. So construction, you have your construction team, and you don't have much interaction, or shouldn't have much interaction, with the community and the public. We need to get our construction back open. We need to make sure our infrastructure is safe, being fixed. We need to make sure that we're ready for business when businesses reopen. The other, Jesse, is manufacturing. There's been so much thought and process and goodwill put forth in our current essential businesses, all in safety for their employees. That all can be put into non-essential businesses when we reopen, and already is in the works to have happen. Make sure that employees are safe, make sure that the products going out are safe, and that all the touch points for shipping and warehousing are also safe. So, Jesse, we're on our way. I think we've got a lot of people that are biting at the bit, but we're going to get there, brother. We're going to get there.
Well, Michael, using the 12 steps as a guideline, recognizing something very important. I really want to applaud you and anybody that you've been working with to recognize that the situation upstate here is, unfortunately, I feel the same way you do about Manhattan. I lived in Manhattan for a long time, Michael, and it's devastating what's going on down there. Thankfully, we don't have the severity in upstate. So using the 12 steps as a guideline, but allowing ease of, let's say, some of the guidelines and rules to allow those 12 steps to happen upstate just makes sense. But it wouldn't happen without efforts like yourself, with Todd, or whoever else that you're working with. So I really want to applaud you on that. A big part of this too, Michael, is federal assistance. I hear about it all the time. I hear the good news that, I got my PPP, the Payroll Protection Program money. I hear from a lot of people they haven't gotten it. Trying to get unemployment is practically impossible. What are you hearing? What do you know about the federal assistance programs as they currently are, but also any work that you've been doing to try to change some of the guidelines to either speed them up or make them more equitable?
That's a great question, because again, it goes back to what we started at the beginning, Jesse. We're all affected by COVID-19. And unemployment insurance, the state initially was overwhelmed. I mean, we went from, think about these numbers, Jesse. In the country, ending February 28th, we had 233,000 people apply for unemployment benefits. All right, 233, 238 at the end of February. In the middle of March, we had 6.3 million people across the country. Now, the good news, and I use that loosely, but the news is we're down to 3.6 million this last week. Fetter that down, that New York's one of the largest states. The system was overwhelmed when this all started March 20th. And the state actually has done a good job at bringing more people on and bringing people in to answer the phone calls. Because for a while, I had a friend who her spa closed, and on March 20, she couldn't get an answer for a month, Jesse. For a month, no matter how many times she called, what time of day. A lot of that has been worked through. I've got to give a lot of credit to Assemblywoman Carrie Warner, Assemblyman Dan Steck, and Betty Little, Senator Betty Little, for helping us work hard. A lot of their days, Jesse, have been spent helping individual constituents and citizens get through to get their UI put through. The other piece is the federal assistance package as a whole. Next week, Congress, both the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House, are going to meet again to discuss federal assistance at the county, town, and village levels. Our infrastructure is so important here, Jesse. We need to make sure that our police, our fire, our EMTs are fully funded. Now, Jesse, why does that all come into play? Our tax revenue is off dramatically across the state and by county, by village, by town. Sales tax, Jesse, think about it. People aren't spending, especially locally, like they used to spend because we're in our house. And so sales tax is down, other revenue is down dramatically. So we need to keep these things fully funded and going. And I hope that Congress can see their way clear. We wrote a letter in conjunction with the Warren County EDC, the Warren County Board of Supervisors, to urge our federal elected officials to really make sure that this happens and gets down to where we're at the local level. Jesse, that's happening now. But what I'm encouraged by is that all these people are working together. Did you just hear what I said?
Yeah,
Warren
I did.
County EDC, us, right. The Warren County Board of Supervisors, Washington County Board of Supervisors. We're working with Saratoga Chamber. Jesse, I've always taken the approach of more is better. Mm-hmm. And when you spread love, you get love back. This is one of those things that I don't want to go away when we, quote unquote, go back to normal. I think despite this adversity and this pandemic, some really great things have been happening for the betterment of this community. And I want it to keep going when we're done. with this pandemic.
Boy, I couldn't second that more. I've thought the same thing, Michael. And they talk about the new normal, right? Well, let's hope that that's part of the new normal. I want to jump to the membership. You're always very good at communicating with your members in a professional and also in a personal way. What's the temperament out there with the membership?
Well, you know what it is? When this was first happening back in March, Jesse, and a lot of everyone's world was turned upside down, right? I mean, think about me. You and I are the same. We need human interaction. We need to see people live. A lot of us are like that. And it doesn't matter if your personality is that or not. Your life has changed dramatically. There was a lot of worry a month ago. And don't get me wrong, there still is, Jesse. But the reason that there was so much worry is that there was no consistent message out there from the state or the federal government. And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. It was overwhelming for everybody, which in turn, people running businesses, employees, managers, they at the time didn't have answers. So what have we done? Jesse, it's unbelievable the calls that I get from employers, from employees, from our elected officials, all of whom we speak with on a daily basis. There is more positiveness than I've ever seen in the last 5 to 6 weeks. More positiveness because I think we're starting to see that curve flatten. We're still in this area though. I don't think we've hit the apex yet though, Jesse, because we are 3 to 4 weeks behind New York City throughout this crisis. Again, not to the same level per population, but we're still a little behind New York City. And Jesse, before I forget throughout all of this, can I just give a big shout out to our healthcare workers, our police, our fire, our EMT? I just want to put out there that Glens Falls Hospital, Saratoga Hospital, Hudson Headwaters, everybody has hit it out of the park when it comes to this COVID-19. Not only the response, but their willingness, again, what were we talking about? The willingness to work together to make sure that we're saving people's lives. So I wanted to make sure we hit that, Jesse. I really want to make sure that we thanked everybody on that. And what am I hearing now, though, from our members? I'm hearing more clarity. People are in the planning process of making sure that when they reopen, it's done safely, social distancing, hand sanitizer, masks, whatever we need to do to make sure that our employees are safe. All of our businesses are doing that across manufacturing, financial, tourists. When we open back up, Jesse, we're going to be in good shape.
Well, Michael, I think clarity is really what you're pointing to here. And I can tell you, everybody that you mentioned, I talk to. So in terms of sort of fine tuning, making these programs more accountable, making certain that the funds are distributed in the right areas to support agriculture, to support, the industries, tourism, the essential industries like fire and police. People realize that there's some clarity now after we were so overwhelmed to be able to make certain that people like yourself will stay on government officials to make certain that these funds go where they're supposed to go. And the second point of that, there's more clarity also about how to reopen. What steps should be taken for safety? What steps could be taken to ensure that people will feel comfortable leaving their homes and going back into what we call the non-essential businesses, for which our regions are very, very, really, they count on them. We need restaurants, we need tourism, we need those kinds of things. So you know what? I knew this would happen. We could go forever, Mike. I love talking with you. Let's make a point to check in again in a couple of weeks. I would like some updates if we can at that point. And please keep us in the loop on any developments that you want us to follow up on, okay?
Jesse, thank you so much for having us. We're here for you. Whether you're a member or you're not a member of the chamber, call us. We need everyone to be proactive. Don't wait for the government to tell us what to do.
Right.
Let's be proactive, figure out the steps to make through the government guidelines. Let's figure out the steps to make us safe. But I do know that through the grit, the passion, and the love of this region, Jesse, we're going to come out of this stronger, and we're going to be revved back up in June and July to have a great season.
Well, Michael, that's what leadership is about. So hats off to you, my friend. Hey.
Thank you again. Give my best to everybody back at the station.
I certainly will. I'll check in with you soon. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.